That was my selfish question. I've got a question that my father-in-law will disown me if I don't ask you about Chick Corea,
Oh,
because there you are in college and you get to work with Chick Corea. What's that
yeah.
experience?
So I was a film major, and also, I came from an artist background, so I was a painter and things like that. I wanted to, for my final project, I wanted to do something that used both, and so I decided I would do this animated film, even though I'd never done an animated film before. And I had this story called A Picasso on the Beach, um, and I heard this track that Chick Corea did, and suddenly, like, I could see the whole movie. Like, that soundtrack was literally like the voices of the characters, and it just played perfectly. And so I just wrote. I mean, I figured out where he was. I think from one of his albums. It was recorded in LA, and I know he co-owned a studio, with Paul McCartney, and so I was able to like figure out how to send a letter, and then his assistant wrote me back, and then we ended up talking, and I told him what I wanted to do, and he basically gave me the like original recordings, different things, so you could separate things, and I could do whatever I wanted with it. And it came out really nicely, like so well that after it was finished and I sent it to him, and this was back in VHS days, um, he wanted me to give him like a whole, I forget, like a whole batch, because he wanted to send them to his friends as a Christmas present. So, and I remember I did go to a party at that studio in Los Angeles, like with all these famous musicians and stuff around. He's a cool guy. He in fact lives across the bay now in Tampa Bay. He lives in Clearwater, although I haven't seen him here. I know he's there, but so that was my first interaction with like a real artist, and he was totally cool, and he was like totally cool to reach out to like a student who just wanted to do something. He could dig what I wanted to do with it. And then also out of that, I met Ray Bradbury, because after I finished the movie, like this brilliant story, and I'd shown it around, and it gotten all these awards, and it had actually it was picked up and shown like on HBO and Showtime back when they showed shorts. And somebody wrote me and it's like, that's the Ray Bradbury story, right? And I was like, what are you talking about? It's like this story. And he told me the title, and it appeared in some obscure anthology, and it was the exact story. I mean, not exactly the exact idea of the story. And I was like, oh man, did I steal this from Ray Bradbury? It's like, even though it was different, but I lived in LA, and Ray Bradbury was always doing book signings around LA. So the next time I saw he was doing a book signing, I just showed up with a copy of my movie, and I said something like, oh, I may have stolen this from you, but I'm not sure. You could be the judge. And, and then I was working in a post-production house, and, I was like just a gopher, just a bottom rung person, just a lackey, who didn't get any respect. Nobody knew my true greatness, and but my one payoff was, I was the guy who always had to go pick up my boss's clothes from the dry cleaner and get his car washed and that kind of stuff. I was with him, and he was treating us the way he normally treated us. And over the speaker, the secretary said something like, Greg Neri, there's a call from Ray Bradbury for you. And I was like, oh, excuse me, I have to talk with Ray. And he was just calling back to tell me that he had no problem with it. He thought my version was totally different than his. And, sometimes things just come out of the ether, and it's how he finds stories. And so it was cool. So
Pivoting
out
back,
of that experience, I got to meet like two really cool artists with really unique visions who did things their way.